Hi, so I want to talk to you a little bit about my friend Graham Healy. Now, Graham's a local lad and he's a polymath. He's the kind of guy I actually aspire to be. I don't think there's anything that guy can't do. I mean, he's into all sorts of stuff. So he's into sculpture, he writes his own music, he's into electronics and batteries and just this enormous range of things. Anyway, he gave me a ring over the weekend and said, Rob, I've got something I want to share with you. Because he knows I kind of like sculpture as well and I love those modelling clays. And it's an air dry modelling clay that he's come up with that he wanted to share, and this is the stuff here. What we're going to do with it is obviously make some kind of sculpture out of it, but it is lovely stuff. I mean, it's got a sort of almost dough-like texture, and like I say, it air dries. It's used with water, and I saw some of the stuff that he made with it, and it has a kind of porcelain finish. So I thought it's really a lovely thing and really quite easy to work with, and so a great recipe. So I thought I'd share that recipe with you because Graham asked me to, and I won't think it's worth sharing anyway. Now, it is basically flour, paper and wall tile adhesive. There's a couple of little wrinkles to it, but essentially you take anywhere between 1 1/4 cups of toilet paper, blitz it up so you get the fibres, give it a squeeze out so it's not too wet. When you've done that, you need to mix up some PVA mineral oil and vinegar in a separate bowl. Add the toilet paper to that bowl and then mix it. And then you add the tile adhesive, and the tile adhesive is 1 cup. So it's anywhere between 1 1/4 cups of paper. It's a cup of tile adhesive and 3/4 of a cup of PVA, 2 teaspoons of mineral oil and 1 teaspoon of vinegar. I'll put that recipe in the description, incidentally. So we've got it chopped up. We've got the oil, vinegar and PVA mixed up. Add the chopped up fibre to that and then add your tile adhesive to that. Now the tile adhesive is that white waterproof non-slip tile adhesive that you can get just about anywhere. So you'll have this mix. Now I thought about mixing it up for you, but Graham had made me a bunch, so I've got a whole bunch of it here to use. So just a description, I'm afraid. Anyway, you mix that up and then you add flour. It's about 1 kilogram of flour. And you knead it until you get this dough texture. If it's too wet, add more flour. If it's too dry, add more PVA. And you get this nice doughy texture that we're going to use to make our sculpture. So first things first, thank you very much, Graham, for that recipe. So I'm going to give it a go in a kind of Venus de Milo figurine because I just like the idea of that, and to get ready for that I've taken a bit of breadboard, drilled it out and whacked a piece of copper pipe in it because that's going to be the armature that I build this thing on. Obviously if you're building different sculptures you'd use different armatures, but I'm going to do that, so I need a very simple armature. Now I always approach this in the same way and get some kind of scrap paper material, so newspapers will do. I just happen to have a whole lot of this tissue paper, and we build out the basic form of what it's going to need by essentially wrapping the paper around your armature. That'll be very loose, so once I've wrapped a bulk of paper on it, I use this stuff, which is masking tape, to go around that to build the form out. Okay, so once I've covered it in paper and masking tape, what I get is a form that has irregularities, and that's great because it's generally the right shape, but there's those little tweaks in it that we all have, a left shoulder hard and the right shoulder sort of stuff, and it introduces those, which I think gives it a more realistic look as a figure. And of course, if you do something like this, you don't have a massive amount of clay to use. Now this stuff works with your hands and it works with water. So I've got a bowl of water, I've got my clay, just grab a load, give it a knead and start covering your form. And we can build up the model gradually. Now it's smooth with water, so wet your hand if you want to smooth it, and give it a smooth with a wet finger. Lovely. Anyway, let's get this form covered. Okay, there's my attempt at a Venus de Milo style figurine. Now the material is quite elastic, so you can push it around, and when it dries into an almost porcelain style, and you can sand it to get a really nice finish on it. And really I wanted to go through that as a kind of thanks for sharing that recipe, and it's a really excellent air dry material that's non-toxic for use as a modelling clay, which some really interesting things could be done, and I'm quite sure a lot of people can do an awful lot better than I did. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video and thank you very much for watching.